Did you know today is Justin Fields' second pro day? You know, I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't checked Twitter this morning and saw a 5-word tweet that today is Justin Fields' second pro day. I really do appreciate that because those of us who follow the sport actively wouldn't have otherwise known. But it is today in Columbus, star-studded cast of teams there, people either seriously interested in Fields or seriously interested in setting up a smokescreen. Or also possibly, you know, because the Falcons are going to be there. And I've said this time and again,
right?
Haven't said it yet this year. If you're thinking about trading that pick, you got to do the full workup on the player so you know what the player's worth in trade, so you can converse intelligently with the team that wants to come get him. And I think that's part of it too. Even if you don't want the guy, you got to know enough about the guy to maximize the value you get for that pick, because they're not coming up to get the 4th pick or the 5th pick. Although the Bengals probably won't. The Bengals probably won't send someone on the 90-minute drive because they're probably not going to trade out of their spot. But for the Falcons, yeah, we got to know what that player's worth. So I expect a lot of people to be at this thing today.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons are sitting in that prime spot at number 4. You know, I think if you're any team that's even thinking quarterback in the top 15 right now, I think you got to be there and in that conference, top 20, whatever. First round, you need to be there for that. You just don't know how this is going to shake out at the quarterback position yet. You know, again, yeah, I think it's Mac Jones with the 49ers, but I don't think it's written in stone. You know, it seems like Atlanta is still not sure what they're going to do, right? And, you know, added to that, you know, with guys like Trey Lance and Justin Fields, you know, there's some rawness to their game. This workout's important. We got to see, you know, did they fix some of the things we didn't like in the first workout? You know, okay, here's another workout. Can they just, like, cut it loose to another degree and show that they're able to do some of the, you know, finer things as far as from within the pocket, you know, that people question Justin Fields about a little bit, you know, the elongated throwing motion and all the space he needs and all of those type of things. So I think it's interesting in that we got teams that need quarterbacks, and I think it's a group of quarterbacks that people they like their high talent, but, you know, there's some questions, especially when it comes to Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields, about how people totally feel about those 3 guys especially.
There is a line, though, for a team like the 49ers between being decisive and having a plan and doing your due diligence once you've moved from 12 to 3. And
right.
Remember, whoever they pick in that spot, they will have given up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick. So it's one thing to do your due diligence. It's another thing to create the impression that you really don't know what you're going to do. We'll figure it out later. We're making this big move, not for a player, but for the spot.
Yeah,
and
right.
we'll figure out which of the 3 quarterbacks who are left over that we want. I understand there's value in building the mystery because we're talking about the 49ers are getting a lot of free publicity. If you don't think that's part of the business, you aren't paying attention to the business. But you don't want to come off as wishy-washy, or you don't want to come off as a team that just had an impulse buy,
right,
and decide, hey, we're going to buy an expensive car. We're gonna pay for the car. Well, which car are you going to get? Well, that's a good question. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah,
you don't want that to be the impression.
Agreed there. I think there is some negative aspects to doing that. And you know, again, I don't think this move was made by, like, you know, just emotions or, hey, I want this spot and we'll figure it out as we go along. No, I would think that Shanahan, Lynch, the 49ers have their eye on one particular guy, you know, and that is their guy, but they're going to do everything they need to do here to check all the boxes and make sure they feel 100% confident in that, and that their, you know, total thoughts from moving up to the number 3 spot have been justified by all the things they've seen and done and meeting with the guys and all that. I think that's more of what it is. I would think they have a pretty good clue of who they're going to take, but they're just doing their homework and making sure, you know, all the T's are crossed and dotted I's and all that crap.
And let me say one last thing before we move on, because I think Pete would prefer that we actually get to the things we're supposed to be talking about.
That's a good talk.
As the draft approaches, remember this one point, and this is the kind of thing that will anger others in the business, but my obligation is to you, not you, Chris, but you, the audience. Be extra discerning of reports from reporters who work for networks that will televise the draft that would be aimed at creating more uncertainty and greater mystery because they have an incentive to maximize audience. So if someone from NFL Network knows that it's Mac Jones at number 3, or if someone from ESPN knows it's Mac Jones at number 3, or that it's not Mac Jones at number 3, they're not going to tell you in no uncertain terms, because we are now in that bubble. We're now in that zone where thou shalt say nothing that would tend to diminish or dilute in any way the audience that we are trying to gather when the draft begins. That's the truth, folks. We can either dabble in the truth or we can participate in the charade. The truth is you're going to be getting some BS over the next couple of weeks, and you've already been getting some of it because they want to maximize the eyeballs, and there's a point where the truth has to take a back seat to that. We know that. We know that directly on draft night because nobody's allowed to tip the picks, and everybody knows who wants to know the picks because you get a backlog of 5 of them as they're trying to produce this TV show. But beyond what happens on draft night, we're in the zone now. We're 15 days away. Just be advised that you may be getting played in order to have more interest when draft night rolls around. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of us are going to watch it anyway, but to the extent there's somebody who's on the fence who really doesn't know what the first 4 picks are going to be, they're going to tune in.
Yeah, agreed, Mike. I mean, and, it's propaganda time. You got to be careful about who you listen to, what you listen to, what it's about, Yeah, there's people that got needs, and they're trying to push their narratives to, of course, push money into their pocket. And that's the way this business goes. So you got to be careful about what you hear and who you take information from at this time of the year.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.